Guys, it's Fonzie with DipYourCar.com. This is episode number 4 of the DYC Dipping Industry Podcast. With me, as always, is Adam. We have a bunch of stuff to cover today. We're going to talk a little bit about Microflakes, why we do and don't use them at this point. We've got an interview with one of the industry's leading installers and experts on a couple of specific things. He's going to join us, call in, and talk about some stuff. We have our obvious Q&A section. And actually, I think we've been getting a lot of questions from international listeners as well. And that actually really plays in because we're going to be covering the international topic of whether or not Dip Your Car can send product internationally. How many questions did we get this week from?
We got quite a bit in general, and then specifically we got one from a gentleman in Germany, one from a gentleman in India. So that not only said that they love listening to the DipCast, but also have some questions about the products that they can receive and what can't they receive and why.
Yeah, one of the major topics of conversation between myself and some customers and fans and the customer service team as well, and especially the distribution team is, I'm in the UK, I'm in India, I'm in Russia, I'm in Germany. Can you guys ship internationally? And we want to really clear this up once and for all. We want to make sure people understand if there is business that we can do internationally, where those guidelines are and where they aren't, so that people can, at least the people that listen to this and that experience this through it being shared can understand where our opportunities are to work together. So here's where it lays out. Dip Your Car can do business internationally, but on a wholesale or distribution level. And that's specifically within our reseller and installer program.
Right.
So if there's an individual, if you're there and you're in Germany right now, or if you're in Russia and you're saying, I want a Pro Car kit or I want a wheel kit, can we send you a single Pro Car kit? Unfortunately, at this time anyway, the answer is no. We can't send product on a do-it-yourself level to individuals internationally. But what we can do is we can work with shops, stores, online resellers, things like that, who get signed up in our installer and reseller program, and we can work with them internationally for most countries. Now, there is a list of countries that we can't do business with right now for compliance reasons, and we take that very seriously. From day one, there's been all these different opportunities as we've grown to make a quick dollar here or a quick dollar there that may be outside of the guidelines we were given. And we've never once taken one of those opportunities. We have just been by the book all the way through. And that's been a little bit, it's like that turtle and the hare thing. It's like the slow and steady. We may have an opportunity here or there. We don't go outside of the guidelines we're given. And it's better for us that way. We can sleep at night. We know there aren't any red flags that are going to pop up. So what we're able to do is identify more of wholesale customers on an international level, and if they fit the criteria, sign them up as a DYC reseller or installer, and then we can get product to them.
Right. We get a lot of calls, actually, international calls, asking for product all the time, and we'll always refer them to that Find a Local DYC installer site. Hey, here's a list of countries internationally that have product. They may resell, they may just be installers, but your best bet is to contact them directly.
Right, and the guidelines that we're talking about right now are specifically Plastidip products. Obviously, Plastidip products are a hazardous material. There's a lot of guidelines that go into moving those products. So the guidelines we're talking about right now, as far as being restricted to only working on an international basis with resellers and installers, is for Plastidip products. Now, we can send our non-hazardous stuff anywhere, and we do send this stuff anywhere in the world, from the pearls to the accessories, dip coat, pre-dip spray, all those non-hazardous things. We send that stuff out. Pallets leave every day from our warehouses to different countries. So,
right, and it's really easy actually to place those orders. You just email Dan at DipYourCar.com with a list of products that you need and a shipping address, and he'll create an invoice basically for you, correct?
Right, and again, we can send, to be more specific, if there's, again, the same scenario, a do-it-yourselfer in Russia wants a couple bottles of dip coat. Can we send that? Yeah, we can send that. Does it make sense for that individual on a shipping cost? Probably not. Now, granted, I'm surprised every day to hear about international orders that go out that are small orders where the shipping actually is more expensive than the product itself. But the stuff that we make, obviously, there's only one place to get it. So there are some diehards out there. They want to get their hands on what they know works, and they're willing to make that sacrifice. But to lay everything out from a Plastidip product point of view, the hazardous material stuff, we can do business with people or companies or entities on a wholesale level if they meet the criteria for a DipYourCar installer or reseller. Now, again, there's a small list of countries that we can't do business with. If you want to inquire about what that list is, email Dan at DipYourCar.com. He's the distribution manager, and he will kind of walk you through that. But if you want some non-hazardous stuff, we can work with you as well on an individual basis. And one of the things that actually goes from section to section or from region to region everywhere, like we said, are the pearls. The dip pearls. Man, I mean, we had a list. I was doing some reporting the other day. We had a list of all the different countries that we sent dip pearls to, and the list was long because that stuff's so easy to send out. It's not hazardous.
It's nice and light, so shipping's not that crazy.
Unless you're going to get it by the kilo, which people do. But that brings us into essentially our next segment, which is the microflakes. People want us to talk about microflakes because we've had them forever. The day that we launched dip pearls, we had microflakes.
Right.
And we've done what? One video.
One video, and it was very minute. And people ask all the time about it.
Well, we did the video of burnt orange holographic over a koi base. That was the one full car we did.
HKS purple.
2. Okay. Yeah, that one had the baller gold microflake mix in. So essentially 2. And we've done over 150 videos in the past year probably. And we started Dip Pearls in January. So out of over 100 videos, 2 of them had microflakes in it. And people were wondering why we leave them out. And I wanted to touch on that because I think microflakes are going to become much more relevant over the next 2 or 3 months. The thing about microflakes is, A, they really should be used as a top coat only. Some people ask, well, can I mix it into colored PDS? Can I mix it with pearls? And you can do any of that if you want to. But to get the true defined result out of a microflake, which is like a shimmering glitter effect, it should really be put only into a clear top coat. My suggestion would be glossifier only at this point.
Right, because otherwise you're pretty much muting out the effect, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And you're paying extra for the microflake. Right. And our whole thing is we don't want you to spend any money unless you're going to get the result you want out of it. We want you to drive around and be proud.
Right. I'll tell people all the time that you can mix it in with that last gallon of your color, but it's going to be a very, very subtle flake. It's not going to be sitting on top of your dipped vehicle. It's going to be embedded within the Plastidip.
Right, and what happens with a microflake is if you don't have that gloss or that clarity for the microflake to shimmer, it essentially looks like bits of plastic, tiny little bits of plastic. And sometimes that ends up looking really good. But for the majority of times, what you want is that shimmery effect. And that goes into really one key feature of the coating that you're using, and that's clarity. The clarity of the coating plays a huge role into the ability for the microflake to be effective. And the reason why we don't use microflakes to a high extent right now is because we are waiting for a top coat to be available that we feel has the clarity necessary to really show off a microflake. And I'm beating around the bush here, but basically what I'm saying is once the new top coat comes out, you're going to see us do a whole bunch more microflakes.
I think people really connected the dots
there.
Yeah,
I don't think I needed to spell that out, but we want to be specific. And obviously I always try to respect the relationship we have with Plastidip, and there's stuff that we can say and stuff we can't say. And I think I've already really pushed the envelope with how much I've exposed to the community regarding a product that essentially isn't even on the market yet and has a little bit more work to do, not from a product development point of view, but from a behind-the-scenes point of view. And Plastidip does everything the right way, and there's sometimes when you do things the right way, it takes a little bit longer. But what we're really expecting here, and the reason why we're expecting it so confidently is because we've used these microflakes in testing with the new top coat, and the new top coat has a level of clarity that is just absolutely outstanding. And the small scale and mid scale testing that we've done, I've never really seen microflakes look the way they do with this testing. So I am absolutely excited to jump in and throw some Microflakes into the mix in 2015. Pearls are awesome, but at the end of the day, we need some more stuff. And there are some Microflakes that can be used. Even take the holographic and the fancy stuff out for a second. There's some Microflakes that can be used that really give the car a completely different look than what a pearl can do. And I'm not talking about 10 grams in a gallon for a little bit of glitter. I'm talking about if you do 25 grams per gallon, you put it over a black base coat, say like a blue Microflake, you're going to get almost what looks like a blue car with a whole crazy shimmer to it. I mean, it's just a whole nother piece to the puzzle.
Right. I actually saw on Facebook a couple of weeks ago somebody that did that, used a bunch of glossifier mixed with those 25 grams per gallon and just did coat after coat after coat. And it really looked pretty crazy and pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's something that we're definitely excited about doing. I think at this point we do have our guest calling in, so let's make sure we get that connected. All right, guys, who we have on the line right now is a very well-known guy in the dipping industry. He's been an authorized DipYourCar installer since the very beginning. He's, what are you, a 2 or 3-time Dip of the Month or Installer of the Month winner?
Yeah, I think it's 3 times. I think we won twice, or once in 13 and twice in 14, I think.
Yeah, he's a 3-time featured Installer of the Month winner. He's an expert in a couple very specific categories. We wanted to have him on because he's got some knowledge that could really be beneficial and valuable to some people here. This is Joe Kilgallon from Kustom Koatingz out in Philly. Joe, how are you, buddy?
Good. How you doing, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. It makes perfect sense having you on. And I'll give the listeners a little bit of an update or an intro about why we're going to be talking right now. There's 2 different buckets, and I always say this. There's 2 different buckets of dippers in the industry right now. There's the do-it-yourselfers, and then there's the professionals. Both of them are growing at a very accelerated rate. The professionals, however, have an industry that's growing. It's a market, and there's tools, there's trades, there's secrets, there's intellectual properties that are being used to really take one business to the next level. And unless you're really evolving as a business, because the dipping industry is moving quickly, am I right?
Yeah, very quickly. Multiple products, different application methods. There's shops popping up left and right, from startup guys to guys who've been doing it for 3 years. People are closing down. It's going every different direction now.
Right, and as a shop or as a business, if you're not taking yourself to the next level and evolving, you're going to get left in the dust. One of the things that you've excelled at, and there's a couple things you do obviously very well. One of them being you put out very, very high-end product. I mean, we see the pictures that you do. We get feedback. One of the things we do a lot is we get feedback from a lot of the customers of our authorized installers. You're one of the only guys on the list who have literally nothing but positive feedback. I mean, I don't think I've heard a negative thing about this guy since he started. So the quality of work is there. The other thing that you're really well known for is your expertise in the high-end or advanced level spray equipment, correct?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And if I can just kind of put this in perspective, because we have a lot of different types of listeners from the DIY side and the expert side. On the do-it-yourself side, the fact is, you can get exactly what you need out of the DipYourCar spray system. That's what it's for, the do-it-yourselfer. If you maintain it, it's gonna last. It's gonna perform the way it needs to perform, and it's gonna give you the level of results that you would expect as a weekend warrior or a do-it-yourselfer. However, if this is what you do to earn a paycheck, if getting cars in your door, spraying them, and getting that income is literally what pays your bills, feeds your family, there's a whole nother level to that. And if you're on that level, there's a chance that you've either thought about or looked into advancing your spray equipment. Joe has been using higher end spray equipment for quite some time, and this is not a turnkey transition, am I right? I mean, there's a lot that goes into getting that done properly.
Yeah, that's very fair to say. I mean, I think in the last I left corporate America to run Kustom Koatingz, I'd say 4 or 5 months ago, full time. And, up until that time point, we were still testing and trying a lot of different, guns, turbines, compressors. The amount of HVLP spray guns that are laying in my shop right now is absolutely insane if I took a picture of the wall. But it took us a good year to hone everything in. Obviously you want to get something that sprays the appropriate amount of self-leveling or atomization. And then at the very end of the day, you need something that's repetitive. You need to be able to take the gun apart and clean it and change it for different colors and switch it out to clear and switch it out to red and switch it out to gloss and whatnot. So it's not an easy find. It takes a lot of research and development, and it takes a lot of money when it's all said and done to try all these different products and techniques and guns that are out there.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys are working on a limited budget, and one of the most important things you can do if you are thinking about, as a professional, moving into a higher level spray gun setting is do your research and educate yourself. If you just go online and you pick a random compressor, a random gun, and basically just try to ride with it, you're going to spend more time, energy, and money trying to get that dialed in to where you want it. You're almost better off sticking with something that's more turnkey, like the DYC system. Now, one of the real reasons why we wanted to have you on, one of the real added values is, as DipYourCar, we get a lot of traffic our way, whether it's email, phones, whatever it happens to be, and we are getting some of our DipYourCar authorized installers asking us on a weekly basis, "Hey, I'm looking to upgrade my equipment. What do you suggest? What do I buy? How do I do it?" And the reality is, do we have a HVLP compressor system, a pressure pot system, a 5-stage turbine at DipYourCar? Yeah, of course we do. And we use that for testing because we need to understand, as we develop products, what our installers are going to experience. But you guys know very well that I don't use that stuff when dipping our cars. DipYourCar is really gearing our videos towards the do-it-yourselfer, and with that, I need to use the DipYourCar sprayer, the do-it-yourself sprayer. So are we in a position, is our customer service team and our product techs in a position to give an installer, a professional, a laundry list or a guideline of how to go down this road for professional equipment? The answer right now is no. So Joe and I, we talk back and forth all the time, and one of the things that he's going to be coming to the table with here, it's really the first in the market that I know of, is he's going to be offering a consulting service. And Joe, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but there's going to be an opportunity for an installer or professional to contact you, give you essentially what their budget is, what they want to accomplish, and you're going to walk them through and actually build them an entire business plan or a purchase plan around maybe what compressor they want, what if they want to go for a compressor or a turbine, what gun, accessories as far as oil, water filters. There's so many pieces to this puzzle, and you're going to take them by hand from A through Z. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. And from a very high level, that's exactly what we're trying to do. My kind of personal mission in 2015 is really to help try and educate some of the installers or even some of the do-it-yourself guys that have the money and want to upgrade their own equipment, where to start, what to look for, the compressors that they can buy, the different spray guns that are available, what products are they spraying. We're going to do a flat yearly fee for this kind of stuff. We're going to do a monthly fee. We're going to have Skype calls, go-to-meeting calls, and then we're also going to be adding a subscription YouTube service for those guys that want to get into those higher advanced level topics, for spraying, for taping, and really just kind of maximizing the most out of their shop.
I'm obviously close to the heart with the YouTube thing. I mean, when I was starting DipYourCar, one of the things that I thought of is, and I told this in, I think, episode 2, I had to think to myself, how am I going to be able to tell people or communicate to people that this is something that they can do? And visual instruction through YouTube videos was obviously what we built essentially the company on. So to think that a professional or whoever it is who wants to get into this higher level spray equipment, to think that they're going to not only have the ability to communicate with you for whatever they need, but if they're going to have a private access to video instructionals that you guys are going to do, I think that visual thing is going to really help make them have them make that connection a lot quicker.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, myself personally, I'm a visual learner, so we get a lot of guys that, I think about 15 or 20 phone calls a week from, installers or really advanced DIY guys. And, one of the easiest things that we do is I just, take the GoPro into the booth, film a quick video right on the whiteboard, and just kind of explain some of the basic level things. I mean, at the end of the day, the way these guns are designed now and the spraying techniques that are out there, I mean, once you break it down and explain to somebody in common sense, this is how the spray gun works. This is how product's delivered. This is how air is delivered. These are the things that you want to look for and look out for, educating them to help themselves and to fix their problem. I mean, they can then pass that information along too. So, really just trying to advance the installer community from a standpoint.
And that's really important. So let's take a step back for a second. So I'm a listener. I'm listening into the DipCast, and I'm hearing what you're saying. At this point, I'm saying, you know what? I've been in this business for X number of months. I'm ready to advance to the next level of equipment. What are my next steps in order to get in contact with you and get the ball rolling?
Yeah, exactly. So for us, honestly, it would be either an email or a phone call. Again, you can visit us at Kustom Koatingz on Facebook or Instagram. Our website's actually being redeveloped for this purpose, for the consulting business right now. That's going to go live February 1st. And once somebody reach out and contacts us, we have pretty much a 3 or 4 page, Word document. It's question and answer. It's really there to gauge the education level of the user as far as the HVLP world. Is this a new initiative? Are you upgrading from a current system? What type of environment are you spraying in? What products are you spraying? And it's very in-depth. It's also there to educate. So if we ask you a question and you don't know the answer to it, there's a glossary in the back. You can educate yourself and say, I had no idea what that meant. I'm glad that was there. Or you can answer it, and we can build an answer for you based upon it. So the first step is really the question and answer. We can do it via Word document or over the phone, however you prefer. And then from there, judging on your budget, your needs, and experience, we can either build a system for you or tell you what to buy in order to kind of take your shops to the next level.
Yeah, and becoming an authorized DipYourCar installer goes a lot farther outside of the box than just a product discount or an online listing or our ability to share your stuff, via social media. We really look at all of our authorized installers as partners, and we are going to be leaning on Joe's service here for when we have our fellow installers or professional clients that call in and ask for this type of guidance. We are going to be partnering with Joe on this and sending this stuff his way. We've been talking for a long time. We've really dug into the details on this, and I think that he's been very thorough. He's gotten everything really lined up to where this is going to be a huge value for the community moving forward. We're actually really excited about it.
Yeah, we are too. I mean, this is from 2 years ago with myself using the DYC sprayer and all the time and labor and sort of research and development that we put into this. It's finally come to the time where we have the knowledge, we want to share the knowledge, and we want to help other shops kind of take their business to the next level. And obviously, first off and foremost, we obviously want to thank DipYourCar for all the help they've given us along the way. I mean, they've got the best customer service team out there. Everybody gets back to you right away, and without them, I don't think we'd be in the position we are today without the back office support that you guys have there.
Well, I appreciate that very much. And like I said, we take, your relationship as a partnership. The more you grow, the more we grow, and vice versa. And you guys can get in touch with Joe at Kustom Koatingz. We're going to put his contact information up on the screen right now. That's Kustom Koatingz with a K starting each one of those words and a Z at the end. It'll be on the screen for you. What do you have coming up next, Joe? We've seen you kick out a bunch of really quality cars the past couple weeks or so. There is, and I wanted to touch on this while I have you on the phone, there are installers out there that really slow down during the winter. And then there are installers out there that seem to continue to kick out business month after month through the cold seasons. You being up in Philly and continuing to post, work after work on your social media, is there anything that you're doing right now that's helping people come in the door, even though it's got the cold temperatures?
Yeah, so two questions there. I guess the first one, when you go into the winter months, I mean, there's at the very core essential of selling your service as an installer, one, the purpose is to protect your vehicle, and that's the spin for the winter. Right. We have a lot of high-end car dealerships that look to us that, guys may want to drive their Maserati in the winter or their brand new Infiniti, and what better way to protect that is to put a protective coating on top of those wheels or do a clear bra in front of the car in order to protect yourself from the harsh winter months, snow, salt, road debris, and then peel it off in the spring. And then we still do have a fair amount of clients who, the second way to sell yourself is this is technically, a vinyl wrap comparison or a new paint job that's removable. So if you want to completely change the whole look of your car by either doing a full car, a set of wheels, even just, blacking out some chrome trim gives you a whole new look at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
We're the place to come to in the winter. But, primarily, winter has got to be a protection goal for those guys who are in the winter areas because, in the winter months it's cold. A lot of people don't want to go outside. They're not going to car meets. They're not going to Cars and Coffee. So you need something to kind of grab everyone's attention and say, listen, this is what you got to do in the winter to keep your car protected.
Yeah, and it's all about being able to adapt into each environment. Nobody wants to have their income based on essentially a dipping type business or removable coating type business and have 3 months or 4 months out of the year where they just completely shut down. That's just not an acceptable situation.
Yeah, exactly. And in the automotive business in general, you got a lot of dealerships in the winter that they're trying to do the same thing that dip installers are doing. They're trying to supplement their income with other alternatives, So you go to one of your local dealerships, whether it's Ford, Infiniti, whoever, and, they're going to make some money, you're going to make some money, and everyone's going to be happy in the winter. So that's one thing you guys might want to consider as you're going out trying to market yourselves is, it's not always, an owner of, a cafe shop who has a really nice car who wants to protect it,
Right,
Go out
absolutely.
to some of your dealerships. Don't be afraid to ask for business. You got to put on your gloves and go out there and fight to make a sale. It's your business and you're trying to grow it.
100%. Now, if you're listening to this right now and you're a professional or you're a higher level installer and you want to talk about really bringing your equipment to the next level, you can reach Joe. He's available for you. If you want to get in touch with him easily, you can go to DipYourCar.com, click on Find a Local DYC Installer, click on the Pennsylvania link, scroll down. All of his contact and company information is right there for you. Joe, we really respect what you do. We totally appreciate you coming on the show with us and sharing your information, your expertise, and I know that there's going to be a lot of people using this service over the next couple months, so make sure you have enough time for it.
Will do. I appreciate it, and thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure, dude. Happy New Year. I'll talk to you soon.
Same to you. Thanks.
All right, so Fonzie, this is by far our favorite part of the show, where we have the Q&A, where people email me questions throughout the day. We sit down, we take a look at them, we select a couple, and then I'm going to pose those questions to you, and let's just get started.
Yeah, and I think the funny part is for the majority of these, I don't know what the question is going to be until you ask,
right?
Which I think adds a little bit more of a human element to it,
right?
Which
absolutely.
also could be a complete disaster, but it's worth,
right.
it's worth going after it.
Right. All right. So we touched on international today, and actually we have an international question from Ozan from Germany today, and he wants to know the pearls. Can you use them in Paralyzer, or are you just using them in matte clear or a mixture of matte clear and glossifier?
You can use pearls in Paralyzer. Basically, what Paralyzer is, to break it down, is glossifier with a white mica pearl in it. So you can definitely add pearls to Paralyzer. There's two things I would keep in mind. The first is you've already got a lot of pearl in there. And we usually suggest the customer really doesn't go over a 75 gram per gallon mark because it could start to adjust the viscosity of it and it may not level well and it could get a little clumpy. So if you are going to add pearls, remember that there's already a lot of pearls in there. So use maybe maximum 25 grams. If you're going to be doing that, do it with the mentality that I'm going to alter the color of the Paralyzer. I don't want to try and overtake it. And that goes into essentially my second point. It's a white based pearl. You're not going to turn that into a dark deep purple.
Right.
You're not going to turn it into you're going to add pearl to the white, and you're going to essentially tint the already white pearl. So if you want to go for like a pastel blue or like a lighter, whiter type ghost color, I think it would work really well. So to answer your question, yes, you can add pearls there.
All right. And he had mentioned, is there any plan on maybe doing a Paralyzer top coat with pearl in it video?
Is there a plan for that?
Right.
Not right now. Is it something we can do? Yeah, I mean, we could do any. That's the beauty of it. We can do anything. We're averaging around 2 videos a week. If we decide that people want to see it, and I'm sure if they do after this goes out, you can email Adam if that's something you want to see. And if we get a bunch of people that want to see it, we'll just kick it out. We'll just do a white base. We'll add some whatever color they want to see into a gallon or two of Paralyzer, and we'll shoot it over a white base and see what it looks like.
Cool. And now our second question is from Quinn. And we kind of touched on, the last couple episodes, professional, do-it-yourselfer, and everywhere in between. And he mentioned that in the very beginning of Dip Your Car, you were doing a lot of videos outdoors. You mentioned barefoot, just with spray can, and we've kind of evolved. So now you're spraying indoors, well-ventilated, enclosed area. But he wanted to know, he's a beginner. He's doing it for a hobby. He doesn't have a garage that he can spray in. Can he dip outside?
Yes, you can.
Right.
You can definitely dip wheels outside. Can you dip a car outside? I mean, I've done it, and I know a lot of people that have done it. You're gambling in a sense. There's a couple things that you want to keep in mind if you want to dip outside. The first is respect your environment. Don't dip outside next to your neighbor's car so that overspray goes all over his car. I mean, if you're going to dip outside, you should have a wide open area and make sure you're not going to be essentially dipping on other things other than your car. The second thing is, wind and bugs and possibly rain, more, extra humidity, just general debris. You're asking for something. There's nothing worse than dropping 5 coats on a car and your last coat just got dropped and it was perfect. And then this knucklehead fly comes out of nowhere and embeds itself into your wet dip,
right?
Because he ain't coming out,
right?
I mean, you can pick it out, you can do. I mean, but I wouldn't say, yeah, it's perfect environment.
Right?
Can it be done? Yeah, but it's a bit of a gamble.
Right. We field that question all the time, and I say it's not ideal, perfect world, enclosed area, but because you need to avoid those things like wind, dust, pollen, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And our last question of the day is from. Actually, I'm going to follow this up with a question from me personally, but Dodge asked, and I thought this was kind of cool, and I'm sure, we get this a lot on the phones, is Fonzie there? And then they kind of chuckle and they say, how did Fonzie get the name Fonzie?
Fonzie was given to me in 7th grade, believe it or not. That nickname was given to me by my buddy Parker in 7th grade, and it has stuck ever since. And it's I haven't been able to escape it, and then I kind of embraced it. I mean, even on the Audi forums and everything, I went by Fonzie. That was my username. And then once I started to expose the company on the Audi forums, people started connecting Fonzie and Plastidip. And then once I started to put the videos out there, and I wanted to make that connection, and then it was just a landslide after that. So 7th grade, I got that nickname. And honestly, I would have to ask Parker specifically why I got it, but yeah. I didn't walk around throwing thumbs up all the time, but I'd like to think it was for a good reason.
Yeah, that was definitely something when you started the company. I remember watching one of those first videos and being like, Fonzie?
Yeah.
And Dodge actually followed up with more of a dipping question after that. He said that when he's spraying his vehicle and he's in the middle of a panel or doing a pass with a pearl, and he notices that cup, the hopper, is getting kind of low on product. Do you stop and fill up to avoid like running out of product in the middle of a pass, or how do you kind of control that?
I have a very simple solution for that, and that's just keep more than one paint cup on hand. I mean, paint cups are, I think they're like $14 or something like that on the site. Grab 2 extra paint cups so that you have 3, but a minimum of 2. And when you mix your gallon or your pearls or whatever you're working with, fill up the paint cup that's going to be attached to the gun, and then fill up the extra paint cup. And when you run out of dip, if you're in the middle of a coat, you simply unscrew the gun, wipe the inside quickly, pop the new paint cup on, which is already filled up, and you're back in probably 15 seconds later. So when I'm dipping by myself, which is not super often anymore, but even when we have Gabe there, we've got 3 or 4 pre-filled paint cups lined up along the shelf so that when we're ready to move, we're constantly fluidly moving through them. So to answer that question, I would grab yourself at least 1 or maybe 2 extra paint cups. You're always going to use them anyway, and pre-fill them before you start each coat.
Right. And then last question, and this is coming straight from me. I know that you've been pretty excited the last couple months. Big UFC fight coming up, and I know that you're a huge fan. Who do you got, Jon Bones Jones or Daniel Cormier?
I can I can break that down by saying, first and foremost, I would never bet money. Now, I'm not a gambler anyway, but I would never bet against Jon Jones. And if you're not an MMA fan, I apologize for this segment, but and I'll try not to go on a tangent. I would never bet against Jon Jones. What I will say, though, is that I want DC to win. I think that he could win. I think that he's probably the first guy going up to a fight that I would expect has an opportunity. I mean, Gustafsson took him all the way to the end, and it was basically almost a draw. I didn't expect Gustafsson to do that going into it. I think that Cormier is the guy that could give him a really hard time. Whether or not that happens, I have no idea. If Jon Jones beats him to death in 30 seconds, I won't be shocked.
Right.
But I think it's going to be a good fight either way.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's Saturday night. And if anybody wants to chat with me about MMA, feel free to do that while I'm on Facebook. So that is going to wrap up episode number 4 of the DYC DipCast. I mean, these are just getting more and more fun as we go. And next week, we have a couple different items that we're working on as far as topics, and we want to make sure we can kind of lock those in before we announce them. So we're just going to leave you on a little bit of a cliffhanger with that one. But in the meantime, have a safe and fun new year, and we will get back with you next week. It's Fonzie from DipYourCar and Adam. We'll see you on the next one.